Hi everyone, welcome to NLP Metaprograms episode 5, Adaptation Operator. This is, I think, one of the most fascinating and useful and powerful of all the metaprograms, and you're going to discover why that is. Firstly though, just wanted to thank you for watching the videos, whether you're watching them through Facebook, whether you're watching them on LinkedIn, whether you're watching them on YouTube, whether you're watching them on Reddit. My YouTube viewing figures, which actually were pretty good anyway, are up around about 600% since I started doing this metaprogram series. So I guess I've hit the mark as far as that's concerned, which is great. What would really help me is putting more comments, more questions, whether that be on YouTube, whether it be on LinkedIn, whether it be on any of the groups that I'm posting these on Facebook, just so we can get a little bit more interaction. So, we've got another 20 episodes to go of the complex metaprograms after this is the last basic one. And I really want to make them most valuable and most useful for you. For that, what I need is a little bit of interaction. Am I on the right track? Do you want some different context? Do you want some different angles on it? Yep. Anyway, Adaptation Operator. So there are 4 basic metaprograms, which, as I mentioned in the first episode, are similar to the Myers-Briggs type indicators and not the same. The reason why they're similar is because they come from the same body of knowledge, which is Carl Jung's archetypes. You may also have come across Roger Bailey's lab profile, which also comes from the same kind of body of knowledge. Shelley Rose Charvet, fantastic book, Words That Change Minds. I would definitely recommend read that. Though, please make sure you differentiate. Shelley's book is about the lab profile, Roger Bailey's lab profile, learning and behavior profile, rather than the NLP metaprograms. And I would say it's a have-to-have book if you're into this kind of stuff. Now, Adaptation Operator. Here's a little bit of history for you. The first 3 Myers-Briggs type indicators, or basic metaprograms, which were external behavior, internal process, and internal state, come from Jung's archetypes. The 4th one, Adaptation Operator, actually was an invention by Myers-Briggs. It doesn't come from from Jung's archetypes, though it comes from the different ways that people perceive time and the different ways that people operate from their perceptions and their reality in different parts of the world. So what we have here again is an analog scale. We've got perceiver and we've got judger and everything in between, including balanced, which would be marked out as being an X in the Myers-Briggs type indicator, and X being somebody that could sway on either side of this. So here's the question to ask to elicit this from a metaprogram's point of view. Bear in mind there'd be 25 different questions from a Myers-Briggs type indicator point of view. In NLP metaprograms, we want to do that very conversationally. We want to do it quick. We want to be able to get an estimation as to where somebody is on this scale. So here's the one question. If we were to do a project together, would you prefer that it was orderly, planned out step by step, and that once we made that decision, we would stick to the plan step by step, religiously? Or, big emphasis on the or would you prefer that we were more flexible in the project so that we could make changes and modify the plan as we went along? That is the question to ask. And it's really important that you differentiate that or in the middle. Right? The presupposition is that somebody who's more perceiver would prefer that you would be able to be flexible in the plan, to make changes as you go along. The person who's more judger would actually prefer that it was orderly, that every single step was decided and then it was adhered to. So you'll get people who go like, oh, flexible, decided step by step. Well, it depends. Or sometimes flexible, sometimes, which would indicate somebody who's more of a X or balanced. So here's the big picture theory around the presuppositions of this. And then we'll look at some specific context where this is a vital piece of information. So somebody who's more perceiver, they have a real high need to keep their options open. They like flexibility. Also, what the perceiver will do is that they've got their internal plan and they've got the external world. So what somebody who's more perceiver will do is they'll look at the outside world, they'll look at the inside plan, and they'll look at whether the outside world fits the plan or not. If the outside world doesn't fit the plan, inside plan, the person who's more perceiver will change the plan to fit the outside world. Whereas somebody who's more judger, they'll do the same thing. They've got their internal plan, they've got their perception of the outside world. And they're going, okay, does the world fit my plan? If the world doesn't fit the plan, they work on changing the world. Do you get that? So what the person who's more judger will do is change the outside world to fit the internal plan, where somebody who's more perceiver will change the internal plan to fit the world. And again, with any of these metaprograms, there's not one particular metaprogram or profile that's better than worse. There's pros and cons to each. Then we look at them in particular contexts. That's where the pros and cons come in for each of the profiles. Okay. So, judger as a sensor and thinker, there's a high correlation with sensor, thinker, judger, STJ, to success in business. And I think you probably can work it out already. If the business, if the outside world of the business is not fitting the plan, the person who's more judger will be working on how do I change the outside world to fit the plan. Whereas somebody who's more perceiver, if the outside world doesn't fit the business plan, then they change the business plan to fit the outside world. I think probably for those of you in business, you've already worked out there's some major cons to that and some major pros to this. Also, decision making. The person who's more judger absolutely wants closure. They want to make a decision. They want it decided. They then want to have that decision adhered to and stuck to by both themselves and the people who they've made those decisions with. Whereas somebody who's more perceiver will actually want to avoid closure. In a way, they've got like a closure phobia, because their perception is that as soon as they make the decision, they don't have any options anymore. Okay, so these people over here, a bit more perceiver, don't find it easy to make decisions. They, in actual fact, find making decisions a stressful process. You know, on my trainings, I quite often talk about this. Like, you know, let's say that you wanted to go out and buy a new washing machine, and that you needed or wanted a new washing machine. So, and you work out your specification for a washing machine. Somebody who's more judger goes into the first shop, they see a washing machine that fits the specification, it's the appropriate price, it fits their values, etc., etc., etc. They go, right, let's take it, stick it in the van, let's take it away. The person who's more perceiver, even if they see a washing machine that fits their specification, fits their values, they want to look at every single washing machine store in town. Because here's the thing for them. They go, okay, well, this washing machine looks great. And you see, even if they were to go for that one, they would still go and look at all the other ones. And horror upon horrors is what happens if they make a decision on this one and then they see a better one down the line. So, they're going to go, okay, I've seen that one, it's great, now let's go to this shop, let's go to this shop, let's go to this shop. I'm talking physically here, but it might be symbolically or metaphorically as far as like online stores, etc. So, here's the worst thing for somebody who's more perceiver is they find this washing machine that really it fits their spec. But they're going to look everywhere else. A shopping assistant comes over and says, are you interested in this washing machine? Do you want to take it away? I'm just looking, thank you. We'll be back if we want it. And the shopping assistant says to the person who's more perceiver, well, just to let you know, that actually is the last one that we have. And I've just taken a phone call from somebody. And they've actually said to me that they're interested in this washing machine. They're going to come in the next 30 minutes. And if it is as promised, and it's for the price that we've advertised, they're going to take it away. Now the person who's more perceiver is like, they're in a bind because they go, okay, so I make this decision to go for this one. I'm going to look at all the other ones. Let's say I then see a better one and I can't get it now because I bought this one. Or what if I go, okay, but I like it, but I'm going to go look at other ones. And and that one, the first one is the best one. So they go, no, the first one's the best one. They go back to the store and it's gone, right? Nightmare, like meltdown for somebody who's more perceiver because they want to keep their options open. So decision-making process is very, very different for somebody who's more judger and somebody who's more perceiver. This is why I believe that this is one of the most fascinating ones for us to understand in business. Because ultimately in business, what we want people to do is make a decision. When I'm doing business with people, I don't really care whether they say yes or no. What I'm more interested in is say one or the other. Because if it's a yes, great, we can wrap it up and we get it sorted out. If it's a no, then either I handle the objection or it's like, okay, thanks for stopping by. Obviously, we aren't the company for you. That's totally okay. Maybe we'll be for you in the future, but at this particular point in time, we're not. And let's, stop using, or, I might even say stop wasting each other's time. Yeah. But that's easy with somebody who's a judger. In fact, quite often, in sales situations, somebody who's more judger, when they've got something that they really want and it satisfies their needs and values, and the price is right for them, they go, okay, so what do we do next? And they close themselves. Whereas somebody who's more perceiver will actually, even if it's something that fits their needs and values, will have a tendency to go, okay, I'm going to look around, I'm going to wait. So what do we do with that? Now, interestingly, from previous research, it came out that around about 50% of the population were more judger, 50% of the population were more perceiver, though depending on what part of the world you're in. So, yes, most of, let's say, Western Europe, UK, US, probably Australasia, Japan, more judger. If we were to go to the Mediterranean, also to the Middle East, possibly part of the Far East, until their culture has changed quite a bit recently, particularly in business, then you'd get more perceiver. So, when I'm giving you 50-50, I'm talking about, for me here in the UK, those of you watching in the US, for Western Europe, probably more of Eastern Europe now, definitely Australasia, then Southern Europe, North Africa, also I would say around Israel, Turkey, around those parts of the Mediterranean, you would find a slant towards perceiver. Okay. Now, interestingly, an internet marketer, Jeff Walker, Product Launch Formula, definitely an excellent book. Get it if you want to do anything as far as internet marketing is concerned. Then we can measure these kind of things now. So, Jeff Walker talks about doing a product launch online. And what he says is this: you make an offer and it's for 2 weeks, let's say. You make it very obvious what the cutoff date is. And at the cutoff date, not only does the offer disappear, the website disappears, i.e. he's using landing pages, right? So the landing page disappears. So it's not even that somebody goes like, oh, the offer's finished, the website's gone. It's gone, it's disappeared. And this is what he actually says he finds from this when he does one of these product launches, is he gets, I think it was, if I remember rightly, but if I'm not exactly right to the integer, I'm in the right ballpark. 45% of sales for that product come in when the offer is launched. 45% of sales come in on the last day. There's a trickle of around about 10% in the interim period. So major spike on first day, major spike on last day, trickle in between. From a Metaprograms point of view, here's my model of the world, my perception of what's happening here. The judges, 50% of the population, see this offer, they go, I want that, brilliant, get it. They don't want to wait. They're not going to go, I'll get it in 2 weeks. They go, no, that's what I want. Let's get it now. They want it done with. They want it dealt with, finished with, right? So big spike first day. Perceivers go, right, okay, I'm interested in that, but I've got a couple of weeks. When they get to the point where they go, if I don't take action now, I won't be able to get this, they take action at the last minute. Yep, big spike at the end. The 10% in between are probably judges that have only just seen the offer, or people who are more kind of balanced in the middle. But those are the big thing is like the spike at the start, the spike at the end. So if we tie that into something I talk about a lot in Masters of Influence, is with Cialdini's 6 rules of influence. His number 6 rule is scarcity, as in creating some kind of limited offer. If you don't decide now, then it's going to disappear. Which is around time frames, number of items, it's the only one, limited edition, 10, whatever it is, no matter what your market is. And he puts that as his 6th rule, and his rules aren't in any particular order of importance anyway. And though, here's the thing to think about. From a Metaprograms point of view, rule number 6, scarcity for 50% of the population is the single most important rule. You could have applied all 5 other ones. You could have applied reciprocity. You could have applied social proof. You could have applied liking, authority. All of these things, you could have applied them perfectly. But for 50% of the population, if there isn't an element of scarcity, you've just thrown all the other ones away. So this is why I say this metaprogram in business is vitally important. Now, a couple of the things, I'm kind of like, I know this is my perception, which is my projection, I know, is that some of you might be thinking I'm giving perceivers a bad rap. There's lots of pros to being a more judger and cons to being perceiver. I've been talking about the context of decision making. I've been talking about the context of business. So let's just put it into a different perspective. Somebody who's more judger will tend to be dissociated, because there's a very strong correlation, not a 100% correlation, but very strong correlation between this particular metaprogram and somebody's timeline orientation. In that somebody who's more perceiver will tend to be in time, as in their future is out in front of them and their past is behind them, with now inside of them, i.e. they're associated in the moment. Somebody who's more judger will have their entire timeline out in front of them, maybe not a straight line, but their past and their future will be off to the left or the right, with now in front of them. By its very nature, therefore, they are not in now, they are dissociated from now, they're an observer of now, as in it's here, rather than an experiencer of now. Do you get that difference? Observer of now, through time, experiencer of now, in time. So the thing around people who are more perceiver is they're a lot more spontaneous, they're a lot more go with the flow, they're very, very much in the moment, and they find it easier to switch off and relax. Perceiver at home and on holiday, wonderful. Judger, everything that they've got to do is out in front of them. They've got to get on with it now. They've got so much to do. And they do a lot. If you shift somebody's timeline around and they go to judger and the word perceiver, then, they will literally go like, wow, I can't believe how much I got done in such a short period of time. And though not in the moment and less relaxed, find it not so easy to switch off. But once we understand the correlation between timeline orientation and the metaprograms, then, to a certain extent, we can live the best of both worlds, which is, be judger in your business, judger in the office, judger in work, perceiver, the weekends, on holiday, and at home, yeah? And we can simply do that by learning how to change our timeline orientation around, and it's our timeline, so of course we can change it. So there's a couple of things there. Let's just in highlight decision making. If we are the influencer, we wanted to influence somebody. An influence for me is how do we have somebody make a decision which is a win-win for both of us, for their reasons rather than mine. That's one of my definitions of influence. Somebody who's more judger, find out what it is they need and want, what their values are, what their outcomes are, offer it at an investment which is lower than their return on investment, decision made. More perceiver, same thing. Find out what their values are, find out what it is that they want, and offer it at a investment which is less than their return on investment. And realize that they're not going to make a decision on that. It's got nothing to do with how you've sold it or anything like that, or what you value you offer them or anything like that. they're not going to make a decision on that unless they perceive there is some scarcity. So somebody who's more perceiver will always find making a decision stressful, uncomfortable. There was a point in time where I was significantly more perceiver than I am now. And I hated making a decision. Yeah? I found it very, very stressful. But as me as a business person and a salesperson, I would hate putting somebody through what I hated so much. So I'd go to sales meetings, business meetings, which have one sole purpose for my prospective client buying what I'm talking about. One sole purpose for me, prospective client buying what I have to offer. And because I hated being closed, I wouldn't close them, whether they were a judger or a perceiver, because I didn't know it existed, right? So here's the thing around it, I guess, in business. For success in business, you need to realize that if you're going to get business or win business, or what my friend Matt Nerona said on Facebook today, sales aren't won, they are made. I like that, actually. I really liked it. It just popped into my head now. This is how good Matt is, right? Sales aren't won. Business isn't won. It's made. So how do you make business with 100% of your prospective clients rather than just 50% of them? How do you make business with these 50%? It's knowing who of your prospective clients fall into this 50%, and then closing them with some degree of certainty, but inside of yourself being okay with the fact that you're putting them in a stressful situation. See, here's what I started to realize was that if I didn't put these people into that stressful situation of, if you don't take it now, you're not going to get it, they wouldn't get it. And by that, I've done them a disservice. I haven't enabled them to make a decision. And my job as an influencer is to have people be able to make decisions which are good for them quickly and easily. Then from a personal point of view, that's point one, right? Then from a personal point of view, it's around, if you are more perceiver, in business, you need to be able to make quick, rapid decisions. Whether they're good or not, you need to be able to quick, rapid decisions. If things aren't fit in the business plan, take action to change what's going on outside. Success in business. It's around learning that from a flexibility point of view. But equally, if you're more judger and you're on a holiday with your family, your friends, your loved ones, but you're still like, I've got all of this to do when I get back, you're not going to switch off. So the key, and here's the key to this from a personal point of view. And again, I talked about this in our last broadcast, our last Metaprogram. As an NLP professional, it's about us being flexible. How do we become chameleon-like so we can take on the best of both worlds in our influence, but also how do we utilize the best of both worlds when we influence ourselves? Yep. So I hope that was useful, probably a little bit longer because I have a lot to say about that particular Metaprogram. Again, thank you for watching. Thank you, for watching on either Reddit or on Facebook groups or YouTube or LinkedIn. And please, wherever you're watching it, please give me some comments, some feedback, some questions, so that because we're now getting into the complex Metaprograms. And I just want to make sure I'm on track and whether there's certain things you'd like me to cover more of, less of, all those kind of things. Anyway, have a great week, and I shall see you next week for the first of the complex Metaprograms, which is motivation direction. Brilliant, fantastic, another great, exciting Metaprogram. See you next week.